Yeah. So there's no telling what we have, but I can tell you what, that thing that flew over me was made out of it had solid rock on the bottom of it, and it had a city built on the surface. And I can't imagine. And I've taken that footage, and I've got this footage, and somebody that's really talented needs to take this footage and do some stuff with it that I haven't been able to do, because I can guarantee you there's some stuff on here that's 100% completely alien. And I mean, I've got it, and I've had so many people look at the film, but all they do is make sure that it hasn't been manipulated. They're looking to debunk me. They're not looking to clear up the imagery. They're looking to see where I pull this off. And it's like I really need somebody who's willing to believe and talented enough to like take some of this footage and see what all we can find and prove it once and for all is authentic. I know it's authentic because I took it. But there's nothing on this thing that looks like it was ever touched by human hand. And I mean, this is a big craft. This thing was, I guarantee it was a mile long, a V-shaped craft. Each half of the V was a half a mile in length. And it was a tight V.
Would that have been similar to the Phoenix sighting occurred in 1997? That big V-shaped craft?
It looks very similar, because when I could see lights on this thing in different areas of it, and there was a large area of lights, and that was rotating around my location, and it was getting lower and lower, and when it finally passed over my head, I couldn't believe how big it was, because lots of the craft didn't have any lights at all on it, and the lights come from different parts of the This was 2011.
2011, and that was in Texas?
Yeah, north central Texas, just about 10 miles outside of Coleman, Texas. And this thing, I got the footage on a flip. It's a flip phone. Is a Motorola AT&T Tundra flip phone is what I caught the video footage of it. And I thought I was taking a picture because I had taken some video earlier, and it was one of the first cameras that came out with the capabilities of video. I mean, we didn't have smartphones back then in 2011. And so when this thing, I caught a video, I pointed my camera at this thing, and I was looking for it in the display screen, and it filled the sky in the location I was at. And to my horror, when I looked at the display screen, all I could see was complete black. And this thing was leaving the area, and I'm going, my God, this is the most amazing thing anybody's probably ever seen, and I've got to catch something on. I've got to catch this thing, So I pointed the eye of the camera at it, and I hit record. And luckily, what I caught was the left half of I caught the left V on the craft. Probably, I just about caught just about all of the left side of the V. And man, this thing is a mile long, and it's got a row of burning flares, like there's some kind of refinery process going on. It's got these buildings built on the surface of it. They had these blue glowing power lines stretched across the surface. And when I zoomed in on that thing and started looking at it, man, there's like, I didn't even see it at first because I was looking for alien architecture and machinery and stuff like that. And then these other people said, man, I see this huge creature on the surface of that thing. I'm going, nah, there's no way it could be a creature of any kind on this thing. And when I started looking, I saw it too. There's a huge creature on this thing. And one of the creatures, it looks like it's 40 feet tall. It looks like an insectoid. It's towering above the buildings on the craft. When you start telling people that, they just shut out. They don't even want to believe you. But I've got the footage of it. And on one of the arms on the thing is casting a shadow on its body, and it's right in line with where the light source is. So you can see the light source. You can see the thing's arm. You can see the shadow that's being cast on the thing's body. And I've got a good picture. I guarantee you, I got a good picture. Now it's not Paramount picture quality, but it's clear enough you can see what the hell it is, and I guarantee you it's big enough that you can't explain it. And I showed it to zoologists, and they said, well, where'd you get this from? And I said, well, you ain't gonna believe this, but it's on the surface of a UFO. And they didn't want to talk to me anymore after that. At first they were going, yeah. They said, I know every creature on the planet, and I've never seen, because this thing, it looks like a praying mantis, but the arms come out of the back instead of out of the front. And he goes, yeah, that's, it looks like a praying mantis, but it's got arms that come out of its back. He said, I've never seen anything like this. Where did you get it? And I said, well, and once I told him where I got it, he didn't want to talk to me anymore after that. And that's the way they are, sadly.
Yeah, this subject is one way to end a conversation. So
yeah,
for those who don't want to believe in what we are seeing.
But I've got some footage of some ETs, and I mean I've got some pretty good footage of some ETs, and like I said, there's nobody who really wants to see it. There's nobody who really wants to research it. I'm surprised. You think people would be knocking at my door, bugging me for it? And I've been giving it freely to anyone who wants to research it. You can look at
this is the psychological problem of humans, I believe. It's almost as if it's been genetically wired in our brains to not want to see the truth about non-human beings and creatures. That this really scares us. Look at how Hollywood plays on human fears with monsters and ghosts. I mean, that should be a pretty good indicator that we don't want to know the truth.
Yeah, and the guy in Brazil that was the abductee in Brazil that was supposedly killed and drained, all the blood drained out of him and stuff. It's a pretty famous case. A Brazilian man that was killed supposedly by an ET and dropped. Anyway, this big creature has a bite radius that would be consistent with the wounds on that guy, which is kind of scary to think of. You take a 40-foot insectoid, he would suck the blood right out of a human. And I guarantee you, and you can see there's a big hole in the guy's chest cavity, and I guarantee you it looks consistent with the size and the shape of the mouth of this thing that I captured on top of the UFO. Pretty scary stuff.
Yes, very. I'd love to see that image.
And I have another guy over here that, I've talked to TTSA, and they're looking for alien metamaterial. Well, I come across a guy down here, down in Santa Ana, and this guy has a piece. He has this metal sphere. You've heard of the Bet sphere?
Yeah.
This thing is larger. It's larger than the Bet sphere. It has a sleeve. It has a circular sleeve that seems like it goes plumb through it. And at first I was kind of skeptical of it, and I went down there, and I did a bunch of like testing on this thing, and we weighed it and we measured it, and I put this thing down on the floor, and my kid was sitting there playing with it. And then my kid walked away and left it. This thing rolled for 4 minutes on the floor. And I said, and then finally I was having a conversation with the guys, and I said, hey, one of you guys might want to grab a camera. I said, because that sphere has been rolling way too long. It's been rolling for 4 minutes. And we recorded it another 3 minutes. So this thing, they set it on the floor and it rolled for 7 minutes, and we recorded the last 3. And then I've got it. You can go to the Ryan Dawson YouTube channel and you can see the sphere. You can see it rolling and stuff like that. I posted several videos on there of the sphere that we're looking at, and the story behind the sphere is that there was a ranch out near Taos, New Mexico, and this rancher, a UFO came over his house, scared them to death, and they boarded the doors up, afraid they were going to get taken, and nothing happened. They never got invaded or anything like that they know of. And anyway, the UFO left. The next morning, when they had the courage to go outside, there was 12 of these metal balls laying in their front lawn. And one of those balls was given to this guy. This is the area UFO guy, the guy that everybody talked to when they seen a UFO. He was called out, and this guy actually gave him one of the spheres, and he still has it today. And supposedly this sphere came off a UFO. God only knows what's in it, and it acts a whole lot like the Bet spear.
Right. I have a question for you, Ronnie. Have you
Dr.
ever,
Bruce, I think.
Yes.
Oh,
TJ.
Dr. Bruce, I'm sorry. I'll go back on mute. I think Hugh Charleston showed up here from Virginia. There's an 804 number on here, but I turned him on. So if you want to go ahead and ask that question. But is that you, Hugh? I just need to make sure.
Yes, I would love to connect with Dr. Cornett related to the Hudson Valley.
Okay. Well,
Very
you're
good.
on, but let him ask the question, and he'll get with you, Hugh. And Jan, I want Jan, but Hugh's been with us from the beginning, too. I'm going to go back on mute.
Ronnie, have you ever been approached by what would be termed a man in black?
I never have been personally approached by a man in black, but I had a guy contact me through the internet that claimed, and he seemed like a man in black. And this guy, he was talking like, man, he was telling me about, he knows where my craft came from, and he told me where it came from. He told me how many light years it was away, and I was taking notes, and I researched everything the guy said, and everything the guy said was true. And the guy said he was an alien hybrid working for the government out of a UFO that's like a secret space program. And he told me it's in a warehouse, and if you walked in the warehouse, you would never be able to see it. This guy told me this several years ago. And here just recently, I've heard again that they have the technology that some of these UFOs, if you walk into the warehouse, you wouldn't see it. It don't even materialize until you throw the switch. And this guy told me this several years ago. And then, okay, now get this. I was talking to this guy for several weeks, man. He was very smart. He was, way too smart. And he was even saying, he said, I could come down and give you a ride. And I said, you could do that? And he goes, yeah. He goes, I can find you. He said, don't worry. I can come down and give you a ride. And I was sharing my conversation with some of my friends. And then the next time I talked to the guy, he was very angry. He said, I know you've been sharing our conversation. And he goes, I'm very upset that you've done this. He said, I thought we were buddies. And, he said, I can't have anybody else knowing the nature of our conversation. He said, I had to delete everything you had. And he said, I deleted it off your friend's computers too. And I'm going, well, I'm really sorry about that. I didn't mean anything by it. He goes, I understand. He said, that's just part of being human. And anyway, so after I got to talk to him, I called my friends that I had sent the stuff to. I said, you still got that? And he did. He deleted it off my computer. I called all my friends, and I said, you still got that? And they looked on their computer, and they had not deleted it, and it's gone off all their computers. 4 different friends, 4 different computers. He deleted it off all of them.
Yeah,
and this was way before Snowden come out.
Ronnie, they've demonstrated to me how they can access my computer without it even being on, and run it, and put things on my computer and take things off. They've demonstrated that.
Yeah, he told me that
I believe it.
He said, I know all your passwords. He said, I can get in your computer faster than you can.
Right.
And he said, I can do it from
space. Don't use passwords. Right.
Yeah. He said, I can do it from outer space. He said, the people on the craft,
he
said, they're in a 1,000-year treaty to stay away. Yeah.
Okay, TJ, who is calling in and wanting to talk about Hudson Valley?
Hugh Carlson. Yeah, Hugh, introduce yourself to, you said you want to talk to Dr. Bruce, but Jan Aldrich is here. Tommy and I are here, but Tommy and I are being real quiet tonight, so Jan and Bruce can talk, and Ronnie. But go ahead, Hugh. Hugh, and go ahead.
Well, if you can give him my number, too, I'd love to speak with him off air. But I had a first-hand experience back in the early 80s with the Hudson Valley UFO sightings. The triangular-type ship came right over the top of me when I was coming into work at Union Carbide's world headquarters, and I had other paranormal experiences.